What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, bringing you all the latest wrestling news, covering all the recent rumors and reports. A lot to talk about today following this week's Monday Night Raw, including interesting reports of what WWE got planned for the following months, as Brock Lesnar return could be getting set up, and more. Before we get into it though, you guys already know that we have been covering everything related to WWE 2K22. There's a lot of news to continue to cover, so make sure that you guys keep track of that playlist and have those notifications turned on to continue being updated on that, and of course on all the latest wrestling news. And if you want even more wrestling, consider checking out the second channel. And getting right into it, one of the biggest questions coming out of this week's Monday Night Raw was why WWE ended up canceling the already advertised Randy Orton vs. Braun Strowman, which was said to be a first time ever as they never faced each other in singles competition. I was kinda excited to see this played out, but as we had to see Randy Orton face off against Matt Riddle in a match where he was potentially injured, and we will discuss that in a bit. But in regards to Randy Orton's match being changed, PW Insider reported that when the production meeting started on Monday afternoon, the Braun Strowman vs. Randy Orton match has been changed without an explanation. Also, Braun Strowman was written into the McIntyre storyline, and it all came down to a decision made by Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon seems to be saving this match and this feud for later on, which could be one of the reasons why Braun Strowman and Randy Orton didn't even have an interaction with each other. Instead, their storyline connection started last week when they both worked a triple threat match, which Drew McIntyre won to be the challenge for Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash. So again, it all comes down to Vince McMahon realizing that this could be a very special one-on-one match and feud, so he's gonna be saving it for a later date. As for Randy Orton, as we mentioned, he went on to face off against Matt Riddle in a very good match. Unfortunately though, Brian Alvarez on the Wrestling Observer Radio indicated that Randy Orton suffered some sort of shoulder injury during the match. He stated the following in regards to it: "I don't know the extent of what happened, but Randy Orton hurt his shoulder. He was fighting out of the corner and Matt Riddle went to give him an exploder, and Randy of course didn't take an exploder. He blocked it and he pulled back with a very dramatic punch, and from that point forward he was no longer able to use his right arm." He added that it looked very similar to that one date when he punched the mat and his shoulders went out. End quote. We're gonna have to wait on confirmation in regards to all of this, of course, as we got to see on Monday night Randy Orton did continue through with the match, and we don't know how serious the injury is. It also could be Randy Orton overselling it, but again, he was the one throwing the punch, so it would be kind of weird for him to sell that when he wasn't the one receiving it. WWE hasn't said anything in regards to this. Randy Orton also hasn't said anything, and instead he'd been tweeting about his match against Matt Riddle, which he indicated that is money and that he is ready to go at it again. So there's more indications right now that it was something minor. Onto some quick news. Over the last couple of days, we've been hearing reports of certain superstars moving from Raw to SmackDown. Those reports coming from PW Insider indicate that Reckoning, aka Mia Yim, and also Slapjack Shane Thorne are now part of the SmackDown brand, bringing Retribution to an even bigger split. WWE hasn't confirmed the move just yet. It's not a quote-unquote official trade, but regardless, this could be a really good move. Mia Yim could add a lot to the SmackDown Women's division, and maybe Shane Thorne could be Shane Thorne again, and we could just completely forget about Retribution. Talking about Retribution, WWE did a good move this week on Monday Night Raw, which we will talk in a bit. Shout out to AEW for giving us a bit of humor today. They tweeted out that JR is going to be sitting down this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on TNT. And that was it. That was the tweet. JR is going to be sitting down. A fan ended up joking if they were going to be giving this away on free TV. So it caught a lot of social media attention. because clearly AEW didn't give us the full tweet. These type of mistakes are made by WWE on a weekly basis, and it's always good to see the community reaction. Eventually, AEW deleted the Botch tweet and replaced it with the original intended one, and that is that JR will be sitting down with the Pinnacle for a special interview to of course talk about their upcoming match against the Inner Circle. Onto some other news, a lot of fans been wondering why Bobby Lashley picked up the victory at WrestleMania, with so many reports indicating that the opposite was gonna happen, that Drew McIntyre was gonna be getting that massive WrestleMania moment finally with the audience there. Well, it looks like WWE is really planning for a special Bobby Lashley match against the biggest return that they could be getting, that of course being Brock Lesnar. PW Torch stated that Bobby Lashley's convincing win at WrestleMania was likely to build him up for a clash against Brock Lesnar in the future. He added that the fans were behind McIntyre, and even though he lost the match, it shouldn't be taken as a no confidence vote against him, meaning that Drew McIntyre is still a top player in the WWE. WWE still believes in him, but again, that right now they're building towards that first time ever match, and one that fans have been asking for, Bobby versus Brock. This is of course just early reports, and there's no word yet on when we could be getting this match. Brock Lesnar's not even back to the WWE yet, but maybe we are closer to it, with WWE setting up this plate right now of Bobby Lashley being so dominant ever since joining the Hurt Business, and literally only losing like one match this year, even losing the United States Championship without actually getting pinned, as it was a triple threat match. So it makes sense that this could be the reason. It makes sense why WWE been protecting him so much, that maybe finally they are getting ready to give us this big match. With all of this being early discussion, I would definitely keep you guys up to date on it. As for what we got to see on this week's Monday Night Raw, the show started off with Mace and T-Bar once again attacking Drew McIntyre, all of which set up a match later on in the night. We had the Viking Raiders defeating Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin once again, and a lot of this week's show ended up feeling like last week, which is a big negative. We had a Charlotte Flair once again telling us why she's gonna challenge for the Raw Women's Championship and why she would defeat Asuka later on tonight. Matt Riddle defeated Randy Orton in one-on-one competition, and definitely the best match of the night. Definitely one of the good things from this week's Raw. We had Naomi and Lana defeating Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler due to the distraction of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Damian Priest disrupted the Miz TV. Elias defeated Kofi Kingston in one-on-one competition. We had Alexa Bliss describing how Lily helped her when she was a kid against a mean little girl on Alexa's playground, and I'm here wondering if Lily in some way, shape, or form could be Nikki Cross, as Alexa continued to indicate that Lily never wanted Alexa to join up with him, to join up with the Fiend. And when you look at it, Nikki Cross was the one trying to keep her away. This could be a good reintroduction to Nikki Cross, which I'll be all down for. We had Drew McIntyre defeating Mace and T-Bar by disqualification, which all led to Braun Strowman helping out Drew McIntyre, which led to another disqualification. So double negative right there, but the one positive about it is that at least Braun Strowman unmasked Mace and T-Bar, and the commentary was shocked who was under the mask. In typical WWE faction, insulting our intelligence and their own intelligence of the commentary team as well. We had Damian Priest defeating The Miz. Sheamus ended up beating down Humberto Carrillo before the open challenge match even started, and for the main event, Asuka defeated Charlotte Flair. Asuka is already getting booked better than when she was a champion. It really feels like WWE just doesn't know how to book their champions, especially their women's champion. After the loss, Charlotte Flair ended up losing it and attacking a referee, so she is now indefinitely suspended. So that is all the latest and everything that happened on this week's Monday Night Raw. If you guys enjoyed or found it informative, don't forget to elbow drop it and hit those notifications. I'll catch you on the next one, so stay savage.